Hello gang, selamat kembali ke podcast Sembang Bola Kopi Wonda. By now korang dah tahu ini adalah podcast yang akan membawakan anda kisah-kisah perjalanan hidup yang menarik di sebalik wira-wira bola sepak kegemaran anda. Dan untuk episod minggu ni, kita ada seorang tetamu yang sangat istimewa. Tetamu yang lahir di Singapura ataupun membesar di Singapura, mendapatkan pembelajaran bola sepak juga di Singapura, tetapi memilih untuk berjuang buat skuad kebangsaan Harimau Melaya. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Dominic Tan. Dom, first and foremost, big thanks. I know it's a bit of a packed schedule at the moment, so we really appreciate you taking the time out to have this chat with us. First and foremost, how are you doing, Dom?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
We really appreciate that. And there's no better place to start than to ask you a very simple question. Are you a coffee guy?
Yeah. I guess I would say so.
That hesitation. No, but because then you're at the perfect place, right? Because this is Sembang Bola Kopi Wonda after all. And I want to start by asking a little bit about the city that you currently live in. I know as a football player, you end up traveling, quite a bit. You move between states and stuff. But I spent a bit of time in Miri when I was studying, and I ended up going to Kota Kinabalu quite a bit. And I always tell my friends that if there is one place in Malaysia that I would genuinely like to live in one day, it'll be Kota Kinabalu. What's it been like living in KK the past few years?
I really like living in KK, honestly. I think it's different from KL.
Yeah.
The traffic is not as bad. It's a tropical destination for a lot of foreigners from like Korea, China, Japan even. So, I mean, it's busy as well, but not as busy as KL, which is perfect because KL is, for me, is a bit too busy.
Yeah.
But KK is a very nice place to live. It's calming, it's chill by the sea, so it's really nice.
Are you genuinely a beach guy? Is that a source of attraction for you? Or are you more of a city boy per se?
Honestly, I'm more of a city boy. But to live like in KL would be quite overwhelming, I feel. Like with the traffic and a very time consuming traveling from places to places. So I feel like KK has the best of both worlds, if I would say. City is still quite hustling and bustling as well, and also at the same time we have nice chill vibes by the beach.
I mean, since you mentioned the city boy portion, that's where I suppose I'd like to start this conversation. To be honest, there's a lot that I want to ask you. There's a lot that I want to unpack with you, but I think the perfect place to start would be Singapore. I mean, there's no better place to describe the word city than Singapore, right? It's essentially a city-state by itself. You spent a lot of your time there. You grew up there. Could you tell us a little bit about what was it like growing up in Singapore? What was it like attempting to get into football within the Singaporean system? What was all of that like?
So I was born in Singapore actually. But my whole family actually are Malaysians. My mom is
from Penang, right?
Yeah, my mom is from Penang. My dad is from Taiping, Perak. So growing up in Singapore was that's why I'm a city boy because it's a big city. It was I had a good childhood in Singapore, I would say.
When did you get into football in Singapore?
So when I was maybe 5, 6. Right now it's called Lion City, but before it was Home United. That was like my district area, which is like Bishan, Thomson area, Ang Mo Kio. So they used to have like a youth program for like kids like 5, 6, 7, like different age groups. And my older brother, who is 5 years older than me, was part of that. And as a younger brother, looking at my older brother go through, in the academy of Home United and stuff like that, I also wanted that because we were playing football every day, just, by the block and stuff like that at the street soccer court, So then one day I managed to enroll into the Home United youth academy, and then it began from there.
Were your parents very supportive of this endeavor? Because I understand, I've got a lot of cousins in Singapore, and they all talk to me about when you go to school there's a bit more pressure on education and stuff like that, right? So it can be a bit intense in that sense. But in terms of your parents in football?
My parents, thankfully, are very, very supportive of whatever me and my siblings, what we wanted to do, We grew up If a very different lifestyle, I would say. My mom was a big fan of music, so my siblings and I, we played some instruments. More like artistic kind of view. Like, you know, if you didn't really do well in school, it's fine. They're a bit more relaxed, more chill. So playing football was very, very easy. When I was young, it's just, you know, as a kid, you just play every day. You don't think about, I want to become a footballer. Or, you know, you just play, and you really enjoy the game. And then later on, it started getting serious. But as a kid, my parents were always supportive of whatever my siblings and I did.
I remember reading, for Malaysian footballers, right, a lot of their pathways, I mean, they go through like their schools and then they go and play for their state, but a lot of them also end up coming to the Bukit Jalil Sports School. Now, you did something similar in Singapore, which is the Singapore Sports School. What was that experience like? And was that sort of like the moment in which you genuinely felt like, hang on a minute, like I could make a career out of this?
I would say so. Like, getting into Singapore Sports School to begin with was actually very tough. Like, you would have like every Saturday, I think, if I'm not wrong, every Saturday when I was 12 years old, before going into, like, they call it secondary school at 13, we would have maybe 10 weeks of trials. 10 weeks. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but it felt like that when I was younger, you know. And thinking back, it was like, wow, that was long.
Intense.
Yeah, it was intense. It was like, you would have like 500 kids come, and then they will cut down to 250, and then the next week you will cut down again 100, and then it just goes on. And then only, I think, like, my batch was 22 players that got selected from like that initial
hundreds of
kids, you know. So it was actually very hard. And at the same time, not just being good in football, but you had to have a certain academic result.
I was about to ask
go
that.
into the school as well at the same time. So it was really, really, really tough.
I was about to ask that because, you know, when you watch, like, for example, like you watch American sports movies, they talk about how attempting to play sports professionally also means you have to have a minimal grade in order to be able to access that opportunity. So was that what it was like in Singapore, that you had to do well in sports, you still had to have some degree of success in your education as well?
Yes, it was like that in the Singapore Sports School. Like, even when you enter the school, we do the same, how do I say? At the end of the secondary school, you will do the same national exam as every other secondary school in Singapore. So every year from Sec 1, Sec 2, Sec 3, Sec 4, I mean secondary 1, secondary you would have to hit a minimal grade to get promoted to the next year.
Oh wow!
And it's like a normal school. If you don't do well academically, then you get kicked out as well. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you are Cristiano Ronaldo, but if you cannot study as well, it still was challenging.
It's crazy because sometimes you think that a sports school only just focus on the sports, but you know, Singapore Sports School very clearly looked at it from a more holistic approach, looking at it as a whole. But in terms of your experience in Singapore, whether it was with the Home United Academy, whether it was a Singapore Sports School, who would you say in your early days was the one coach that had the biggest impact on you?
I would say Coach Ken. It was my secondary 1, secondary 2, and secondary 4 coach, I think, if I'm not wrong. I think he really instilled not just on the field, but like mentality wise in all of us. Like, you know, saying that discipline is not only on the field, it's off the field, even in the classroom, in your schoolwork, it reflects there. And then in the end, it makes you a better person, not just a better sportsman. And I think that his coaching on and off the field really like mold us as a person.
That's a really interesting one, because you know, when you have coaches at an older age, their focus often tends to be towards things like tactics and stuff like that. But coaches at a younger age, it's all about building that human being first, right? And it's the role that they have is often not spoken about enough. It's not prioritized enough in that sense.
Definitely true. I agree, and I feel that you can be a good coach at international level or at adult level, but doesn't necessarily mean you can be a good coach at youth level. I think it's two very different coaching method to be implemented when you are young and when you are older. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about Malaysia? How did that come about? Because for a boy who sort of grew up in the Singapore system, experienced football the Singapore way, a lot of your teammates, friends are probably Singaporean as well. How did the move come about to come and play for Malaysia? I think it was the Harimau Muda C setup that you first broke through in. How did that come about? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so you want a long story? Long story.
We would love any stories. Yeah.
Okay, so the long story is it began like this. So when I was in sports school, when I think I was 15 maybe, there was a Lion City Cup.
Okay. It was pretty popular back then, right?
Back then you have like Newcastle, Flamingo, Arsenal, you know, like big teams like this from around the world will come to Singapore and play a tournament in Singapore. And at that time, it was Singapore National Under 15 and Singapore National, if I'm not mistaken, Under 16 that would play in that tournament. And the coach at that time, I think I was 15 at that time, was Coach Robin.
Okay.
So he's Nepalese and he changed to Singaporean to before that he was a player as well for Singapore. And then he's now he was the coach at that point of time. And one day he asked one of my best friends now also is Joshua. He asked Joshua, he said, before that he asked me if I want to change to Singaporean to play for this Lion City Cup, you know. And then as a young boy, thinking back now, I don't know how I said yes, I want to change, because all you wanted to do at that point of time was just to play, and you see all your friends playing at the national level, you know. But I said no, I said I don't want to play, I don't want to change to Singaporean. And then we left it like that. Then one day he went to Josh and he asked Josh, he pulled Josh aside and said, hey, why doesn't Dom want to, you know, change to Singaporean and play with you guys? And then Josh said, oh, because one day Dom wants to play for Malaysia. And then he's like, oh, he wants to play for Malaysia. I know one coach. I know Coach Hassan Sazali.
Okay.
I did my coaching badges with him. I said, oh, maybe I can help him. I can contact Coach Hassan and see whether he wants to take Dom on.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Yeah, it was. He opened my career. Honestly, I owe everything to him. So one day he came to meet me, and then he said, hey Dom, I heard from Josh you know you want to play for Malaysia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely want to play Malaysia one day. I don't know how, but you know, I hope I get it.
Yeah.
Then he told me, oh, you know, I know Coach Hassan. We did our badges together, and then he contacted Coach Hassan, and then Coach Hassan got back to me and said like, oh, look, okay, you can come for a trial. So after my O-levels, I finished my O-levels at 16. Then I went directly to Bukit Jalil. That time was in MSN. And I went for a trial for the Harimau Muda C. Yeah, and then he signed me, and then from then on, it's just...
Wow. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps here because I'm thinking just by the virtue of a single individual's care, an entire career was opened up. I mean... Do you still keep in touch with Coach Robin?
Yeah, sometimes if I go back to Singapore and I see him, I really feel grateful and happy and forever thankful to. Yeah. When I see him, I always like just get a big smile and I'm really thankful for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say if Coach Robin happens to be watching this at any point, thank you so much for giving Dominic Tan to us in Malaysia. In terms of JDT, because it always felt like Harimau Muda C was sort of like the door opening for you to come to Malaysia, but I think where the recognition and where people's eyes started turning towards you was JDT. How did that one come about, the JDT opportunity?
That was quite straightforward from Harimau Muda, and then JDT came in and they wanted to sign me, and obviously it's a no-brainer when you have such a big club coming to me, and growing up watching all the big Malaysian players play in Johor, and it's just a dream come true, honestly, to have that stepping stone and to go into Johor. Going to JDT2 was even a bigger thing for me because at that time Baihaki was there, Shari Ishak was there, Singaporeans.
Oh
you know.
man,
Yeah, it was like I grew up in Singapore watching them play, you know, and then at 19 years old, I'm their teammate. I'm playing. My partner is Baihaki on the pitch. Was quite surreal, honestly. Yeah.
Oh, that must have been crazy. Do you remember how your parents reacted? Like, because I imagine this way, right? And I'm talking about this from the context of, like, I'm Southeast Asian. I'm Malaysian, just like you. I understand what the Asian parents' view is like. You know, you support your kid going through football, but there will be moments of skepticism, moments of fear. Are we doing the right thing? Will it, you know, end up in the right way? And the moment you end up signing for a club like JDT, it pretty much feels like a watershed moment, and it would kill all the anxiety within them. Do you remember their reaction when you told them about JDT's offer?
This is the funny thing. When I had, at that point of time, I had quite a few offers from many clubs. But I kept everything to myself. And it was funny because my parents they believe in me and they just let me make my own decision. Like, I'll just be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to sign now with Johor. Like, done. And that's that, you know. It's not like, oh, can I go and sign for Johor? You know, it's like they believe in me and I just did it. And after that, I just broke the news to them. And to be honest, I'm not sure how much. I mean, I'm not sure if they knew how much it meant to me because, you know, football-wise, they don't really follow
Into
much
it as much.
Yes, that's I would say. So, they don't know the levels of you know, signing for Johor, what it really means. But it was quite interesting at that point in time.
You've had a very unique privilege, which is the privilege of being a part of the JDT project at its infancy stage. And now, I mean, though you've left and you're playing elsewhere, but you've had also the privilege of seeing just the scale that they have grown with over the last decade or so. And how incredible is it to have seen what JDT has now become as a brand, as an institution, as a football club?
I think Johor right now is, in Asia level, they are really competing with the top clubs, you know. For me, what I see is that they don't rest. Johor don't rest. That's why their level is only going up, because they don't get complacent. They don't stop. They just keep pushing for more and more. And I think that is incredible. Like, as a football club and even as human beings, we should never rest. We should always, you know, be striving for more and more. And I think that mentality is really started from the top, from boss, definitely.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, you were mentioning about JDT2 by Haki and Sharil, and that was quite literally the start of the JDT project.
Yeah.
And to now see where they have gone and what they have become, it's just absolutely incredible. There's another individual that I want to talk to you about. I've been particularly excited about this. Dato' Ong Kim Swee. Now, I've had the pleasure of interviewing him for another program, I think a day or two after the Malaysia-South Korea game at the Asian Cup. And I will never forget the passion with which he talked about you and what you bring to the table, both at national level and with Sabah as well. And I've sensed this pattern about him. He's got that ability to just talk about his players so passionately, regardless of who they are. And it's also reflected in all his teams, because every time you watch Dato' Ong Kim Swee team, you see players willing to run through brick walls for him. Why exactly is that the case? Why does he build such a relationship with players so effectively?
I would describe Coach Ong as a loyal coach. You know, that is one of the reasons why, like you said, players will run through a big wall for him. You know, players are willing to fight for him and to give everything for him, because he's very loyal coach. I think it's not easy to find a coach like that, and definitely, you know, he has played a very important role in my career here in Malaysia. All my opportunities, international and under 23, were given by him, and it was really nice to come and join him again in Sabah. He's gone on to Indonesia, so you know, definitely he will do well there, and hopefully one day I can go and play with him again.
Well, how do you think he has evolved as a coach? Because, like JNT, for example, you've had the privilege to see its evolution. You've also had the privilege of seeing Dato' Ong Kim Swee's evolution. I mean, sometimes I find it hard to believe that it's already been more than 12, 13 years since that speech he gave at the Gelora Bung Karno in the 2011 SEA Games. A speech that, by the way, everyone still talks about until today. And he's been around for so long. He's continued to stay at the top level. How do you think he has evolved over the last decade or so?
I think one thing that Coach Ong has that some coaches don't have is that all the players are willing to, like you said, run through a brick wall for him. And I think that is very important as a player when you feel like you owe something to the coach and you feel like, no, today I'm going to give him 100% because, I want to win this game for him. It's that kind of feeling, but 11 players have that kind of feeling. And imagine, you play against a team who maybe comes to the field today thinking, not really feeling up to par, and then you have going against a team like us that really wants to do well. For coach, I think that is a very, very important mentality that he instills in us players.
In terms of your experiences with Dato' Ong Kim Swee, whether it's international level or with Sabah, is there like one particular story or one particular moment that's your favorite moment or your favorite interaction with him? Or your favorite aspect of your relationship with him, something that stands out instantly, your favorite memory of him perhaps even?
I would say the game that we won against South Korea.
Okay.
In the Asian
Games.
The
Asian Games, the one with Son Heung-min was playing there, right?
Yeah, in the Asian Games. I think that was a very, very incredible victory as a whole, I remember before the game, coach was saying it doesn't matter if they are South Korea, we must always believe and always, try. You never try, you never know.
Yeah.
You go out there, you give your best. And truth be said, Safawi scored 2 goals and before we know it, we were up 2-0 against South Korea with Son Heung-min and, top stars playing. It was really, really incredible. It was, I think, one of the best memories with Coach Ong. Yeah,
since you mentioned that, right? This is the other thing. I mean, I don't know if you think about it. I'm assuming you perhaps did at some point. But you realize that you've been a part of the country's 2 iconic results against South Korea. Both games you were a part of it. The one at the Asian Games in 2018, which sent shockwaves around Malaysia, around Southeast Asia, around Asia even. But, you could argue some people would split the narrative by saying that, it was a under-23 tournament, blah, blah, blah. But then comes Asia Cup, senior to senior, held your absolute own against them. And it was another historic result as well. Would these 2 games, would you classify these 2 games as like your peak favorite career moments?
Yeah, definitely is up there. Playing against a very, very big Asia, not even Asia, world giants is incredible to even be on the same pitch as them, in the first place. But to, the last Asia Cup to draw against South Korea and not conceding from open play, it was all set pieces. It was incredible, very, very nice feeling, especially to be in the Asia Cup for the first time. For me, was very, very incredible. Yeah,
I want to talk about that Asia Cup game. I will never forget that game. And everybody will talk about the goals. Everybody will talk about Faisal Halim's incredible finish. They'll talk about Romel Morales' astonishing equalizer. But my favorite part of that entire performance was the performance of the defensive unit. I mean, it was just heroic, for a lack of a better word. And I will never forget, just because I was in the studios with Dato' Lim Tiong Kim, and I will never forget how he was talking about the defensive unit as well. And you were part of that setup. You were part of that unit. That must have been an incredible, feeling being on the pitch that day.
Yeah, it was, one of those games that we were like, wow, every tackle, every block, it was ours. It felt like it was ours. The game was ours, at a point of time especially when we went up, it was like, okay, this might be the day, but like I said, it's just really, really, really even incredible to even share the pitch with Son Heung-min, Lee Kang-in, players, top world class players like that. It was very, very, very nice feeling. Yeah.
Do you remember how did you feel on the eve of the game, on the day of the game? Because when I remember in May 2013, I remember exactly the month because that was when the draw was made and when the schedule was released. I mean, there was Jordan, there was Bahrain, but all anyone could care about was really the last one. That was the highlight of it, right? Win, lose, draw, we don't care. We just want to play South Korea. What did you feel like on the day of the game? Because, I mean, most of us, we're just football fans. We're just here for the ride. But you're the guy that has battled it out on the pitch throughout your life, from you were young, dreaming of moments like this. And when they finally come, what did it feel like on the day of it?
Yeah, like I said, it really felt surreal. Like sometimes, like I think there was a video of me smiling at Faisal Halim talking to Son, yeah. And then I was just laughing because I'm not laughing, but I was just smiling because it was funny to see Son angry. You know what I mean? Like you play against Malaysia and you're angry. You are Tonton Hotspur, you're one of the best players in EPL, and you're angry at Faisal Halim. That's why I was like, wow, you know, it's like I'm actually it's happening. You know, this is happening. Yeah, like I said, it's one of the biggest achievements in my career so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever get over the defensive performance that night. It was just absolutely incredible. I want to know about your style of play. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is how I interpret it, right? When I watch you play, I see a no-nonsense defender who's just, you know, quite literally pulling your shots up, diving into tackles, giving 110%, doing absolutely everything, even if it means you pick up an injury. You don't care. That's how I interpret you. But how would you interpret yourself and your style of play?
Yeah, I think that is who I am. I leave it all on the field. I give 100% every game. Whether I play well or maybe sometimes I don't play well, but I know that I always give my best. People can say otherwise, but people who know me will know that I will always give 100% on that day. That's for sure. That's the kind of player I am. Yeah.
Who would you say are some of the best and some of your most favorite teammate or defensive partners that you've had in your career? And you've had the pleasure and the liberty of playing with so many of them, but who are amongst your favorites, you would say?
Well, maybe I would say when I used to play for JDD2, this guy called Bruno.
Okay.
The centre back.
Who was initially from 1, then he was at 2 as well. Yeah.
I really thought that he was really, really, really very, very good. Like everything, defensively, with the ball, everything. He was class. Yeah, he was very good.
What was it about your partnership with him that you enjoyed the most?
I felt like we so-called compromised each other. Yeah, you know, he was very good with the ball. He was good in the air. He's a good leader as well. I felt that, like, at a young age at that time, he really guide me throughout the game, and I learned a lot from him. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's your favorite teammate that you've had. Who would you say is the toughest player that you've come up against as a centre back? Let's not pick Son Heung-min. Let's exclude that game because that's obviously the easiest pick, right? But we got to exclude that one.
I think I would say the game. I think quarterfinals, Asian Games against Japan last time. Okay. Under 23. There's a striker called, I think, Daizen Maeda.
Oh, he plays at Celtic now.
Now he plays in Celtic. Yeah. This guy was tough to handle. Well, he would be the toughest opponent I ever played against. Yeah. Easily.
Do you still watch him these days?
I follow his movements and everything.
This guy is crazy, man.
Yeah,
he's just a relentless runner, and the guys at Celtic absolutely adore him because he's just not. And I can imagine as a centre back, having a striker that's just running at you 24/7 is probably the most annoying thing ever.
He is very smart. Like he is like playing mind games with you. First start of the game, he running behind, and then you'll be like, okay, let me pull off a bit, maybe. Yeah. Don't get so close to him. He's gonna run in behind again, you know. And the next one, he will run in behind and he check out again and receive on the feet. And I'm really behind there because I'm thinking that he's going to go, you know. And then he's just playing mind games with you. He's always like just a step ahead every time. And at that time, we were 21. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think he's my age, yeah. And he was, easily the best player I ever played against.
I mean, seriously, Dom, really not bad at all for a boy from Bishan to be going up against Son Heung-min and Dazen Maeda and all this stuff. Incredible, really. Funniest teammate that you've ever had?
Funniest teammate I ever had? Wow. Let me think. Funniest teammate. I think would be my teammate in Singapore. His name is Zafan. He's playing for Lion City now. Actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Zafan.
Okay. Why is he the funniest guy?
I don't know. He's just a joker. For me, all keepers are I don't know why, but all keepers are crazy, a little bit crazy in their head. So yeah, he's just one of them, but he's very funny.
I don't know who said this. Someone I remember said this, that you've got to be a bit crazy to want to be a goalkeeper.
I don't know why all the goalkeepers that I've been with all are they're a little bit crazy. Even like Haziq, Shihan, and all of them are all crazy.
Absolute clowns.
Yeah, clowns.
Who's the best teammate you've had?
Best teammate
in terms of just sheer quality on the field.
Sheer quality on the field. Wow. Maybe I would say Sadil Ramdani, maybe actually.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a real left field peak.
Yeah, he's very, very, very talented. Yeah.
You know, Sadil is another interesting one because I will never forget how when Sadil sort of left the Indonesia squad just before the Asian Cup, all he did was post up a photo of Dato' Ong Kim Swee as well. Here's another one, another example of someone who built a really strong relationship with Dato' Ong. Incredible player, really, Sadil Ramdhani. And I'm really fascinated that that's your pick, because you've had a pleasure of playing with some incredible talents all throughout your career. But you picking Sadil, I think, speaks a lot of volumes about him as a person. Just to wrap up this conversation, Dom, in terms of your goal in football, in total, for a boy that grew up in Bishan, went through the Home United Academy, Singapore Sports School, I don't think it's unfair to say that you've had a pretty successful career so far. And that successful label is always going to be there, no matter what happens and at what point you wrap up a career. But what do you still crave for in terms of football? What do you still want to achieve? What are you still dreaming of? What are mini bucket lists, I could say, in terms of within football that you hope to be able to achieve in the next few years?
So for me, as a young kid, honestly, I've had the chance to have a lot of training stints in Japan. At a young age, especially when I was 13, like at my where it matters the most at your growing up. I managed to go to Japan maybe 3-4 times on like some as a team, training stints there. And I really am impressed with the way the culture is, the football is in Japan. So I would say if I ever have the chance, I would really, really love to try and play in Japan if the opportunity arises.
So we'll have to ring your buddy Dazen Maeda to see if we can hook you up with a playing stint in Japan. But yeah, that would be absolutely incredible if the Japan opportunity comes about. To be fair, you're also, again, one of the few Malaysian footballers who has actually gone abroad. And you've gone to Portugal for a stint, you've gone to Thailand for a stint. And hopefully, it's never too late. Hopefully Japan comes along at some point. It'll be absolutely incredible to see you in Japan. Thank you so much, Dom. It's been a real pleasure having this conversation with you. I feel like I've gotten to know you a lot better because you've had a successful career. You're a mainstay within the national setup, but you've always kept a pretty low profile. And I think your story deserves to be told so that characters like Coach Robin can be acknowledged and thanked publicly for the service that they do to footballers like you. But before we wrap up this week's episode, we want your favor to sign a jersey.
Sure.
That'll be worn by a lucky viewer out there. Kepada semua yang menonton, ingat korang berpeluang menang jersey yang akan ditandatangani oleh Dominic Tan. Kalau korang nak menang jersey ni, korang kena follow account media sosial Wonda di mana maklumat lanjut akan dikongsikan tentang cara untuk korang nak menang jersey ni. Yeah, so Dom, before we wrap up this interview, just going to need your favor to drop an autograph on that jersey because this jersey will be worn by a lucky viewer out there. Kepada semua yang menonton, jangan lupa korang kena follow akaun media sosial Wonda untuk dapatkan maklumat lanjut tentang cara korang nak menang jersey yang ditangani secara eksklusif oleh Dominic Tan. Ingat, follow akaun Wonda di semua platform media sosial untuk maklumat lanjut. I think that about wraps up today's conversation, Dom. I know it's a real busy period. You've been traveling a lot for club and country, so I just want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
To have this chat with us, and I wish you all the best of luck. And genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely hope that you get the Japanese team at some point. It'll be a perfect sort of wrap up to your career one day. Look back and see that you've done everything that you wanted to do. So thank you so much, Dom.
Thank you.
For taking the time. Thank you so much kepada semua yang menonton. Ingat, kekal follow akaun media sosial Wonda bukan setakat untuk menang jersey ni, tapi juga untuk tengok siapa tetamu seterusnya dalam podcast Sembang Bola Kopi Wonda.